Kevin Benedict, Independent Mobility Analyst, reporting live from Orlando, Florida this week, where I have the privilege of spending time with Sam Lakkundi from Kony Solutions. Thanks for joining us, Sam.
Thank you for interviewing me, Kevin.
And so let me just ask you a question. Everywhere I turn, I'm reading about bring your own device and some of the challenges that movement, if you would, is to an IT organization. Recent studies that I've seen show that between 59 and 72% of companies are saying they plan on supporting the BYOD, bring your own device kind of environment. So from your perspective here at Kony, because you guys have a lot of background in consumer apps as well.
Correct.
And you're into enterprise mobility. So you've seen both sides. What are the challenges that you have to learn to address when the employees can bring any device?
So one of the biggest challenges that we have to learn to address is consumers, when they bring their own devices, they don't care about what form factor it is. They don't care whether it's a laptop, a desktop, a laptop or a mobile device or a tablet device. So we got to figure out how do we enable that that platform with that application. So that's one of the things. The second thing that we need to worry about is security. The IT group worries, if I put my application on this foreign device, how secure is my application? So that's another thing that we have to worry about. And the third thing that we need to worry about, how do I enable that particular device? So the third big thing I need to worry about is enabling or deploying my application on that device. So those are the three major factors that I look at.
Okay, so next topic, HTML5.
Sure.
What role is HTML5 going to play in enterprise mobility?
I think HTML5, in my perspective, has its infancy at this point. If you take a look at the iOS apps, just as a lot of the apps that are out there today, if you take a look at the variety of iOS apps that are out there today, there's a very, very small percentage, almost negligible compared to the millions of apps that that Apple announced just yesterday that it has reached 20 million apps. It is HTML5. So HTML5 has its role. It's a true build once, deploy it to multiple devices strategy that companies are looking at. But I think its limitations that are there and its UI and its UX factors that it offers is going to prevent many companies from adopting and embracing it at this point.
So I'm going to put you on the spot, Sam.
Yep.
By 2014,
yep,
what percentage of new enterprise mobility apps will be built using HTML5?
So my perspective is that as HTML5 matures, that I would say that in my perspective, between 30 and 50% would still be HTML5 applications.
Okay, now I understand it doesn't have to be native or HTML5. There's many variations on that spectrum.
Correct.
Can you talk to us about your perspective on the variations between native and HTML5 pure plays?
Absolutely. So the spectrums are, there's something called as a hybrid, right? The hybrid mode, which allows you to basically build a container and then run HTML5 within that. So it gives you the best of some world in some respect, where you basically are, you are able to call, functions, native functions through the native container, and then run HTML5 applications within that. The second spectrum is something new that we are innovating in, called as a mixed mode. This is not a hybrid web container. This is basically the marriage of a native function and an HTML5 within an app, right? So you get some functionality of HTML5 and some with native functionality, which is called as a mixed mode. Right? So this is the second big variation. And the third, of course, is running it purely as an HTML5 and then calling, native functions. So some people do call them like, hybrid, which is basically saying, well, I can call GPS, I can call a camera through my HTML5 as it matures. And so those are, in my perspective, the three modes that I see.
Okay. Next question.
Yeah.
So I understand from rumors that Gartner is actually converging or merging two separate platform categories.
Correct.
What is it? Mobile consumer app platforms?
Yep.
And mobile enterprise application platforms.
Absolutely.
Why is that happening where those two separate platforms, it used to be an IT organization was only concerned with the MEEPs.
Yes.
And maybe the marketing department was concerned with consumer app platforms.
Yep.
Coming together. Why are they coming together, and what's that going to mean for an enterprise?
So why that's coming together is, as employees who are consumers themselves start looking at these devices, start experiencing when they go out and do things such as Facebook, they buy tickets via United or Southwest, or they actually, have a shopping experience. They want that same experience when they're doing things in the enterprise, whether it's going out and buying my insurance, whether it's going out and doing an approval, whether it's going out and sending a receipt, for an expense that I've had. That is coming together, and the large number of consumers are also, remember, are employees. So they want to bring their devices. They want the same flexibility of buying a ticket. I never bought a ticket, an airline ticket on my phone, 3 years ago. Today, most of the tickets that I buy are basically on my mobile phone. As I drive from point A to point B, sitting in a taxi, and I've got to go to my next trip, I do that transaction not with my laptop, with my phone. So if I'm able to do the same thing now with my enterprise, then I'm looking at the same kind of flexibility, scalability in the platform. And thus, Gartner has decided that it is time where these two technologies are slowly merging, that they do the MEEP and the MCAP platform and call it as a MEEP platform today.
So what is going to be the challenge for mobility vendors to make that possible?
The biggest challenge that they're going to have is to figure out, can we give them a UI and UX experience like they have been used to outside my enterprise, right? They get a fantastic experience when they go to, sites like, for example, the App Store site, or they go and play a game like Angry Birds, right? Or they go out and do a purchase on Barnes and Nobles, right? So am I able to take that experience and give them the same flexibility when we build our enterprise apps? So that's the number one thing, right, they got to think about. The second thing is scalability, right? My consumers are now used to very quick, rapid results, right? If, as a United consumer, when I say purchase ticket, and if I wait 2 minutes, I can guarantee you I'm going to leave United and go and buy a ticket on Delta or some other flight. So is that the same experience I'm going to do? If I say, if I cannot enter expense, then why would I use this mobile? And so that is really where the biggest challenges companies are going to have, to basically say, can I bring the consumer experience and the consumer, UI, UX experience and scalability experience to my enterprise, applications.
So that's the insight and the wisdom from Sam Lakkundi, who's the Vice President of Mobile Strategies here at Kony Solutions. Thank you very much today.
Thank you, Kevin.